You know what I wanted to ask you, right?
Yeah.
Well, not to ask, but to kind of get your perspective.
Hmm.
Do you think like DIY artists like are the same as independent artists? Because like some people,
I was literally having this thought
right?
earlier, like literally like 15 minutes ago. I was like, is there a very big difference between the two?
Because a
Almost.
DIY artist does everything themselves because they
Yeah.
literally do it themselves.
And an
Um,
independent artist just isn't signed to a label
yeah, but they also do everything themselves. They might have a manager,
for the
but
most part, yeah.
yeah, that's so.
So I think that's I mean I think that's the biggest difference is that the DIY artist actually just does everything themselves from home, from wherever the fuck they are. But an independent label, an independent an independent artist can just mean an artist that isn't signed to a label, but they
That's
don't necessarily do everything themselves because they could be signed to a distributor, for example.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. The DIY artist does everything themselves, and the independent gets like help, but still has to do stuff on their own. But in terms of like help like with management and like you said with the distributing and stuff like that, they have someone to help them. But with the DIY artists, like they have to do everything themselves. You know?
Yeah, and the whole reason that in my mind I was like, why are these things used interchangeably if they're like
Right.
not quite the same was because I was reading an article that mentioned like BTS as an independent artist, and I'm like, no, they're not, because
Mm, they're signed.
they're signed to Big Hit. What?
Yeah.
I was so confused by that because I was like, they most definitely aren't independent, but yeah. So
And
there's
now,
like that little discrepancy of a
yeah.
difference between the two.
And I think now, kind of understanding it a bit more, I would consider myself a DIY artist. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you
Although,
are.
although I don't do the recording myself, like I do everything myself. Like I would write myself, I would promote myself, I would create the marketing plans myself. Like I would have to do
Hmm.
everything myself. Like find my own persons to do my music videos. Like, but yeah, no, I think I would consider myself a DIY artist because a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm an independent artist. I'm an independent artist," but at the end of the day, like they would have to do like everything themselves.
Hmm.
And they don't have like someone to assist them. They don't have a distributor or they don't have a publisher. You know what I mean?
I think the term DIY artist is also more recent
Yeah,
than independent artist
yeah.
because there's been such an increase in both independent but mainly DIY artists. There's been a
Mm,
massive increase of them. And like there are countless super successful musicians that started off as DIY musicians and now
mm-hmm,
have full blown careers,
mm-hmm,
have won Grammys, have done all the shits, but they started as DIY musicians.
mm-hmm,
They aren't, I wouldn't call them that anymore so much.
mm-mm.
But humble beginnings or whatever.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy? Now that we're talking about DIY artists and independent artists,
Mhm.
I'm now thinking like what was Spice's situation? Because remember, Spice was signed to a label,
Mhm.
but the label wasn't doing anything for her. She was literally doing everything herself. So now that she's not signed to the label anymore, she calls herself an independent artist.
Yeah.
Then she's an independent artist or DIY artist? Because Spice literally does everything herself. Because she writes, she has her own producers to make her own stuff for her. She does her own marketing, her own.
Well, she effectively has like her own label, basically.
Okay, yeah, kind of, yeah,
Yeah, so she effectively has her own label, basically without having a label. She has like her own team or whatever.
kind of, yeah. Because she
Yeah,
literally,
so I think she would be more independent than DIY.
mm,
So I think that's the big differentiator as
yeah,
well. It's like,
yeah. I was just gonna say as well. I think that's the big difference because with the independent artist, you could literally like hire a manager or hire
mhm,
like a publicist or hire a marketing assistant or whatever to like assist you, and then you like focus on the creative side of things. Like stay
mhm,
focused on your music. But like with the DIY artist, like you can hire, but majority of the times you don't have the resources to hire, so you ask like family or friends
yeah,
to assist. You know,
yeah,
so it does make, yeah, complete sense in that way. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also wonder, like, of the DIY artists that, catch their big break and they make it big, like, how many of them actually stay DIY? And how many
Mm.
of them switch to, like, independent?
But
And how many
yeah,
of them switch to, like,
a
fully
label.
signed to a label
Right.
type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Because, like, there's no statistics there, at least from what I've seen and
Yeah,
looked
no,
for.
there
There are no
isn't.
statistics.
Girl.
There are no statistics um, for those things. But I'm curious. I would
You know what
like
I
to know
think?
that.
I think a lot of DIY artists that start out that way who are now I guess known and
Mm.
won Grammys and stuff like that. I think they kind of either transition into being like independent
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
or they like try to get like a distribution deal. You know what I mean? Because the goal is to have your music distributed
Yeah, yeah.
widely and as far as it can go. Because I want to say, the main challenge of DIY artists is getting reach. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to build that fan base because they have so much on their plate already. It's like, okay, like I have to focus on my creative side, which is like writing, recording, producing, and then now I have to focus on the business side, which is like ensuring that I register the music, monetize my music, plan like marketing so people can see me. Um so I think most of them would sign a distribution
Deal at
deal
least.
or like publishing at least.
Like Chance
Hmm.
the Rapper,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
which we discussed over WhatsApp.
But
Like,
Chance the Rapper does, I think he has a distribution deal as well.
he does have,
Okay, but he doesn't have a label because
he
he's
doesn't
not
have a label.
signed to a label. Yeah. And he
Exactly.
doesn't want to sign to a label either.
Exactly. He's been
So,
offered millions and he will
yeah.
not sign.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
And I think the story of Chance the Rapper was a bit interesting because like the way how he gave out, like he did his mixtape and then he gave it up for free and then he caught like
Mm.
the attention and then he just blew up. That's so crazy. Like that's so rare.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it happens to people, you know, but
That's how
it's rare.
ASAP Rocky also got his break
Mm.
because he did his first mixtape. What was it? Live Love ASAP, and he
Mm.
released it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got so much attention, he got signed, and then he did like a re-release of it, like an official one. Um, but there's so many musicians as well because I was looking at that today actually, of like musicians that started as DIY musicians and then made like their first EP or first mixtape or first couple of EPs or mixtapes or albums and immediately were like a sensation, which I also thought was like really fascinating because, like, for example, ASAP Rocky, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know he had like a start as like a DIY musician
No,
who
I didn't know that
simply
either.
released a mixtape that did really really well and garnered attention and then immediately like was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed Sheeran I knew because I knew of his beginnings. um, and then FKA Twigs was another one that I wasn't
Mm.
familiar with having had the start. Tyler
Okay.
the Creator as well, didn't know, started off as DIY and then just like poof. But also, to be
Yeah.
honest, most musicians start as DIY.
Yeah.
The thought just never really occurs to me.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And I think today it's like because back then DIY artists would struggle because like it wasn't that
The
easy to like
internet isn't what it was. What
exactly.
wasn't what it is now.
Yes, that. Yeah, and there weren't a lot of like music distribution companies that you could have signed up to like give your music to have them distributed like on Spotify, Apple Music. A lot of DIY artists would struggle because it was like very hard for them to get their music distributed like to a large audience. They just
Mm.
like had to do it like locally. And I think that was the best that they could have done at that time. But like you said, no, the internet and technology and things are advancing
Yeah,
and
it's
there are
facilitating the process.
yeah, there are a lot of now music distribution companies that you can sign up to and like put your album on or your mixtape or a single or whatever and have it be on Spotify, Apple Music and all the shits.
Mm-hmm.
Um which is really cool.
Yeah.
But what I want to say now is that it's like independent artists or DIY artists are kind of like I was reading this article and they were talking about how independent artists or DIY artists are almost like competing with mainstream artists as well, because like everyone now is an independent artist, everyone now is a DIY artist or whatever, but like they have access to the same things,
Almost, yeah.
almost the same things like a mainstream artist, because now the biggest thing is streaming and music
Yeah.
videos on YouTube and
Yeah,
those
and
kind of
like the
things.
streaming platforms literally facilitating it for independent artists to put their music up. Then you have major record labels creating free distribution services. Who was it that created one? Was it Warner with
Mm.
free music? Was it free music? I wrote it down. Why am I trying to remember? Yes, it was Warner with Level Music.
Mm-hmm.
I was making up a whole name.
She said free music.
But it's Warner with Level Music. Like they distribute for independent artists for free, versus other platforms like Bandcamp or DistroKid or whatever that you pay a small fee to
Mm-hmm.
have them distribute for you. So
Mm-hmm.
there's even now competition in distribution, whereas before there wasn't really any
Mm-hmm.
because labels weren't that interested in that.
Yeah.
And then over the past few decades, they've become increasingly interested in that, and now it's a massive interest
Mm-hmm.
because DIY musicians, independent artists are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
everywhere, and a lot of them are killing it too.
They are. And I think
Like,
it's so easy with I won't say completely easy, but I think
yeah,
it's
it's not.
more
It's just easier.
easier, but
It's
not
not
easy.
easy. Yeah.
But it's easier because of social media, and especially like with TikTok, cuz TikTok is a game changer. You know what I mean? When it comes
Yeah.
to the music industry, and even when it comes to like business in general, getting your business seen, visibility, awareness,
Yeah.
TikTok is a game changer. So I think a lot of DIY musicians or artists or independent artists kind of leverage TikTok
Mm-hmm.
today to
Mm-hmm.
like get seen with their
Mm.
music. So it's easier, but not easy because it's still a challenge. Um,
Also, because the market is very oversaturated.
yeah, it's this is an interesting topic too, because I don't recall the year that labels started to do this, but labels just stopped kind of like signing people from scratch and like developing them, and started
Mm-hmm.
to look more like on social media for artists like they started to look on social media for these DIY artists
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
are already like popping off on the internet, but I can't
Yeah.
remember the year exactly when it
YouTube
all changed.
things.
Right, YouTube things, right?
YouTube things. Yeah.
Right. And when I'm asking you, when did YouTube came out? Like you would know. What year did YouTube launch?
February 14th, 2005.
February 14th, 2005, YouTube was launched.
Yeah.
Yeah, so YouTube launched in 2005, you said,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a couple years after, labels started like looking towards YouTube and like
Mm.
social media to like
Because I
sign
remember
artists, because
Justin Bieber
they were looking at
was using.
MySpace a lot. Sorry, what
Yeah,
you
they were
said?
looking at MySpace as well. But because also I remember Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
by who was it?
Oh, sure.
Usher. I always think to Justin Bieber's start like on the internet and Usher discovering him, and I'm like, how long ago was that?
That was
How long ago was that?
girl.
Like, how how much after YouTube's launch was that? Because it feels fucking long ago.
It feels really long ago. Yeah,
So long ago.
yeah. But a lot of DIY artists got discovered on YouTube, because I
Mm-hmm.
remember these girls. They had the song "I'm a Boss Ass
Yeah.
They got signed as well, and I think Nikki did a remix with them. I'm not sure, but they got signed, and
Somebody did a
then
remix with them.
yeah, someone did a remix with them. I don't know. They got signed, and then like I haven't heard anything from them. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of DIY artists that get discovered on YouTube or the internet or whatever, like some of them do well, but some of them just flop.
Fizzle out.
They
Yeah.
just like fizzle out. Like you don't hear anything from them anymore. And I'm
You know
like,
what
I thought
happens
you
a
were
lot?
signed.
You know what happens a lot is the one hit wonders.
Yeah. A lot of articles like within the music industry or even like podcasts as well, like talk about like the future of labels.
Mm.
Like what do you think the future of labels would be? if like the internet continues to evolve when it comes to like social media apps, especially like with TikTok,
Mhm.
and like DIY artists just grinding on their own, doing their own thing, and being able to like have visibility on their own and like make money on their own without having a label. Because then what is the use of the label?
I mean, I think there's always going to be room for labels,
Hmm.
simply because there are going to be people that don't want to do everything themselves.
That's so
There
true.
are always going to be people that don't want to do everything themselves.
But
There
also persons who don't understand as well. That too.
Exactly. There
Mm-hmm.
are people who do not want to do the business administration stuff of the music business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think there's always going to be room for record labels as long as there are going to be musicians who aren't interested in the business.
Yeah.
Because really, if we get rid of them, it's just going to be like, just can you
Chaos.
imagine the chaos
No, for real.
if
There wouldn't
labels
be.
suddenly like stopped existing? Chaos and mayhem. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure we could phase them out, but I don't think we actually want to.
No.
I think labels in the future are gonna have to start bending over backwards
Yeah.
to accommodate musicians rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
Because currently I feel like it is a little bit the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, record labels run the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But people are getting smarter, people are moving smarter, people are educating themselves more than they ever have, I feel like.
Yeah.
So record labels are going to start, like, I think, walking on eggshells a little bit, being more careful, being more considerate. But that's just me. That's just me, because
But
there are also people that think that record labels are going to start getting more ruthless and selfish, which
mm,
is also a very big possibility because they are very much thirsty for the monies. But people are also just unwilling to sit quietly and be taken advantage of.
I would tell any artist, any DIY musician, any DIY artist, any independent artist, learn about the industry. Even if you want to hire persons to help you learn about the industry, because then you can actually keep track of what they are doing. I'm not saying to micromanage, but just so that you know everything is on the right path. And also for yourself, because if you are a DIY artist and if you're going to be doing everything yourself, I think you should at least have a bit of knowledge in order to help you do those things when it comes to like monetizing your music, when it
Yeah,
comes to like
no, as a
marketing.
DIY artist, you literally have no option but to
Right.
learn.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have no option.
But I
But
think
yeah, say, sorry.
no, I would say I think some of them just go into it like winging it, thinking that this is how it's supposed to be done because
I
I
mean, and that works for some people, but for many, it's not gonna. And like the thing is, right, the information isn't even hard to find.
it isn't.
It's everywhere on the internet. There's
Mm-hmm.
free courses
Mm-hmm.
on multiple platforms to just, inform yourself on these specific parts of the music industry. And like, we're not saying that you have to be like us and go get a degree on this
Right.
shit.
Right.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You just need to know at least the basics, at least copyright, at least publishing, at least those two things. You know what I mean? At least who's who and who does what.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the base level things at the very least, because
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that you are going to come across the
The
most,
most. Yeah.
as well as collecting societies, but that's all part of
Mm-hmm.
copyright and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just inform yourself.
Yeah, and then I would say because that's some good advice that you gave, but I would also say as well, like learn about marketing because marketing is such a huge marketing plays a huge role within music. Like your music would not be heard without marketing. You as an artist would not be seen without marketing. So learn about marketing as much as possible.
There are
Like
also many free courses available
exactly.
online.
Yeah, like learn as much as possible about marketing. Like don't ever doubt, that don't think that you're just gonna put it on your personal Facebook page or just upload it on YouTube and it's gonna do well. Like no, there are certain things that you need to do. You know what I mean?
I think I think we've touched on everything that we can touch
Yeah.
on this topic. I think we've
Yeah.
discussed everything we wanted to discuss. So yeah, we're gonna swiftly move on. Just swiftly and casually. Move on to our little small talk corner where me and Chardonnay ask each other what our favorite songs of the week are.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we ask each other a question that may or may not have anything to do with music, the topic we discussed for the episode. Sometimes we just ask random questions because we feel like asking a random question, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Should we start with the questions or the songs first?
Let's start off with the songs.
Songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's your first song?
So my first song is "Carry On" by Patrice Roberts. Is
Okay.
It's a soca song,
Okay.
and it just makes me feel good. Good vibes, good energy. It's just like a melodic kind of like chill soca song. So I just like it. Yeah, I just like to listen to
Sounds
it.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's your first song?
My first song is Fly Girl by
Mm-hmm.
Flo featuring Missy Elliott.
Mm.
It makes me feel like a bad bitch. There's no other reason. Well,
Right.
I mean, I like Flo and I love Missy Elliott, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the mix of the two was so good.
Mm.
It makes me want to shake my ass. It's just a fun song. I listen to it
Yeah.
all the time.
Okay, nice, nice.
Okay, second song.
My second song is Win by Jada Kingdom.
Okay.
And that song is a it's also a chill song, but
Mm-hmm.
it's talking about like your struggles in life, and you're working hard, and you're struggling, but you're gonna win and you're gonna push forward and persevere and so forth. Jada
Nice.
Kingdom is actually a Jamaican artist.
Mm.
Um so yeah, it's Jamaican chill vibes. So that's my
My
second song. What's your second song?
my second song is called Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's by a South African house group called Mikasa.
Okay.
I don't
Did you
think I've
speak about them
ever.
before? No?
I don't know.
They I think I heard the name before, so I don't know if you ever mentioned them
I've
before.
mentioned them to you definitely 100%, but like
Right.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned them on the podcast.
Mm.
Can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe it's a possibility. I'm
Right.
a big fan of theirs, so
Okay. Probably. Yeah.
it's their latest single. They released it last week Friday,
Mm.
and it slaps.
Mm.
I don't know.
Period.
No, it's a really sweet song about wanting to shoot for the stars with the people you
Mm.
care about.
Okay.
Like a rocket.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it's like different from what they usually make because they're Afro pop, Afro house, Afro pop.
Mm.
But this is more like traditional house
Okay.
music, with some of that Afro pop in there. So I just like it. It's like a little uplifting little song. It's cute.
Mm. Nice.
Yeah, this is my second song.
I'm gonna start with my question because I have a question for you. And my question is, would you be like a professor at university teaching music business?
Why not? I feel like it would be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But you would you enjoy like grading papers, giving class, dealing with kids not turning in their assignments?
I would like to have a teacher's assistant so that I don't have to grade shit.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I would be a lecturer if I could have a teacher's assistant. If I could
Okay.
have my own TA.
Okay.
To do like the minor things. I don't mind doing the finals
Okay.
and like the graduate essays or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think I would have a lot of fun
Okay. Okay.
teaching, being a lecturer, a music business lecturer.
Okay. So would you teach at like Berkeley College of Music, like in Valencia, in Spain?
If I don't have to teach in Spanish, which I would which I would imagine I don't have the
No,
vocabulary.
you don't have to, because it's an American school.
Yeah, I know.
So
But like I don't have the vocabulary for Spanish, but if it's in English, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think I'm qualified. I don't think I'm qualified, but okay. So yeah, look, I'd have to get further qualifying to do it.
mm,
But like Sure, I would do it. I'd go get more qualifications
Right. Yeah, I don't mind
to
teaching either.
become a lecturer or a
Mm.
professor of
Mm.
music business. I
Mm.
think what I would enjoy the most out of the lectures is one, sharing knowledge, but two, having conversations with my
Mm-hmm.
students. I
Mm-hmm.
would host like debates all the time.
I could see you doing
I
that.
want to hear the people's thoughts. I want to
Yeah.
have back and forth. I want to have banter. Yeah, so I'm like, let's have discussions. Let's have banter. Let's have fun,
Yeah. I could
Cuz
see you
that's
doing that.
how I enjoy learning. I
Mm.
like when people tell me things, but then we have extensive discussions about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz that's how I learn the best. And like I love learning. I love
Mm-hmm.
learning, so I would be so happy to teach people
And I think
that.
that's an interesting way to learn that makes it fun. Because
Yeah.
like if you're debating and persons are talking about things, you can also just go check it up online if you're like really that interested. But then it won't feel like as much as like hard work. It would just feel like fun because you're just listening to these debates with persons with different opinions or facts or whatever. Um,
I would love to be a lecturer. I think it
per
would be fun. Anyway, so what I wanted to ask you that I
yeah.
thought of in the middle of the other part of the podcast
Mm-hmm.
is, where do you think the future is going to take the whole DIY artist movement? Like, what do you think is going to look like in the future, basically? Do you think it's going to be as popular as it is now? Do you think it's going to get more popular?
I think it's definitely gonna get more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's definitely gonna get more popular because, like I said earlier, like TikTok is like such a game changer for the music industry when it comes to like finding new artists. Because I mean, look at Ice Spice. Like we just saw that she blew up because of TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think because now persons see that they have more access and opportunities to certain things, like when it comes to like social media, or maybe even just going online and researching a music industry professional and just hiring them to assist. Of course you would have to do good research and check
Mm-hmm.
credibility and so forth. I think because it's easier, it's not easy but easier, I think DIY artists and that whole independent scene will become bigger because like labels are they're not gone but they're kind of dying out because labels look for what DIY artists are doing. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So yeah, I definitely think it's gonna get bigger. I definitely think it's gonna get bigger because it's already saturated, so it's just gonna
Yeah.
keep growing and growing and growing. What I don't know is how we'll be able to maintain it
Yeah.
for it not to get out of proportion, because then it's like what you know
Like,
what I
where do
mean?
we look now?
Where do we look now and what are we listening to? Because I mean there needs to be a little bit of
Yeah.
like yeah, but yeah, I think it's gonna get bigger than what it is, especially because of social media and because
Mm-hmm.
we have more access and we have more access to certain tools and resources now. Let me say it like that.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay, okay. But yeah, guys, so that's how we feel about, not how we feel. I mean, we did share how we feel.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So that's it on the DIY, the rise of DIY musicians, and like the difference between DIY and independent, and where we think it's going to go in the future, and what our opinions are on doing that, being a DIY musician.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, 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 guys.
so we're gonna do our little sign out now.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who are interested in music or the music industry. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow the podcast, do all the things that you need to do.
Sharon said, press all the buttons.
Press all the buttons. I don't know what buttons there are, but press it. Support. Okay. And don't forget to follow our Instagram and TikTok accounts at Don't Touch My Music Pod.
Mm-hmm.
We share like little bloopers and little funny videos there. And we also post our songs of the week, our favorite songs of the week that
Mm-hmm.
we mentioned at this last bit. And yeah, go check it out, listen to it, follow us, do all the things, support us. Yay! We'll see you guys next week with another
He said,
episode.
"Yay!" Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.